The sun was setting as we boarded the majestic cruise ship, my wife Emily and I, excited for our much-needed vacation. The ship was a towering masterpiece, a floating city ready to take us on an adventure across the open sea. The air was heavy with the scent of salt water, a reminder of the vast ocean that lay before us. The gentle sway of the ship beneath our feet was a comforting rhythm, a promise of the relaxing days that lay ahead. Yet as we stepped onto the deck, a strange feeling washed over me. It was subtle, like a faint whisper in the wind, a chill that went unnoticed by the others. I looked at Emily, her eyes sparkling with anticipation, oblivious to my unease. I shook off the feeling, attributing it to the nerves of a first-time cruiser. Little did we know this voyage would be unlike any other. As we settled into our cozy cabin, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. A chill, as cold as a winter's night, seemed to blanket the room, a stark contrast to the balmy tropical air that hung outside. As darkness descended, the ship, once bustling with life, fell into an eerie silence. Yet in the quiet, an uncanny melody began to play out. Whispers, faint at first, like the rustling of leaves in a gentle breeze. They grew louder, more distinct as the night wore on. The words were indecipherable, an amalgamation of hushed tones that danced through the corridors, seeping through the cracks of our cabin door. Unseen speakers engaged in nocturnal conversations, their words a muffled symphony that filled the night. It was a chorus of the unseen, an orchestra of the unknown. The ship, it seemed, held secrets that were whispered in the dead of night. Whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. Emily brushed off my concerns, attributing them to an overactive imagination, fueled by the eerie atmosphere of the ship. But my mind was not playing tricks on me. The whispers in the night, the cold spots in our cabin, they were all too real. They were remnants of a haunting past, a grim story that clung to the ship like barnacles on its hull. We knew from the news that the ship had a history, a dark chapter that most preferred to forget, but which refused to let itself be forgotten. There were tales, whispers really, of a madman who once walked these decks. A serial killer who briefly worked for the ship claimed victim after victim along with his cult of 100 people he got onto the ship, leaving a trail of terror in his wake. He was a phantom in life, elusive and deadly. And in death, it seemed his malicious spirit was no different. His reign of terror ended abruptly, cut short by justice, claiming innocent lives before meeting his own demise. As the days passed, the whispers grew louder, and strange occurrences became more frequent. The ship began to reveal its uncanny secrets, and I found myself caught in the peculiar dance of the unseen. Shadows seemed to twirl in the corners of my vision, spinning tales of a time long past. Objects moved as if propelled by an invisible hand, their silent waltz a chilling reminder of the spectral presence. The icy chill intensified, its touch seeping into every corner of our cabin. It was as though an invisible dancer glided through our room, its cold, ghostly fingers brushing against our belongings, leaving a trail of unease in its wake. Yet, amidst all this, Emily remained oblivious, untouched by the wicked ballet playing out around her. She was lost in the allure of the cruise ship's lavish amenities, her eyes sparkling with excitement at every new discovery. Her joy was a stark contrast to the growing dread that gnawed at me, the unseen dancer's silent partner in this macabre performance. Determined to uncover the truth, I delved into the ship's history, and the more I dug, the more the ship seemed to reveal its hidden secrets, like a Pandora's box that had been left untouched for far too long. I stumbled upon a name that sent chills down my spine: Richard Lancaster. His story was woven into the ship's fabric, as indelible as the rusted bolts that held it together. Lancaster, a notorious serial killer, had once roamed these very corridors, his sinister legacy echoing through the decades. The newspapers painted a chilling picture of his heinous crimes, each one more gruesome than the last. His reign of terror, however, met a swift end on this very ship, but death, it seemed, was not the end for Lancaster. Rumors, whispers, and age-old tales suggested that his spirit lingered, trapped in an eternal dance with the ship he'd once terrorized. His spirit was said to wander the halls, seeking vengeance on those who dared to cross his path. I tried to warn Emily of the danger that lurked within these walls, but she dismissed my fears as paranoia. That's how it started. My pleas fell on deaf ears as I tried to convey the sense of dread that stirred within me. Emily's laughter filled the air, a stark contrast to the icy fear that gripped my heart. Her disbelief was as palpable as the chill that ran down my spine, leaving me feeling more alone than ever. I turned to the ship's crew next, the seasoned sailors who knew the ship inside and out. I told them of the whispers in the night, the moving shadows, the cold spots, but they too were dismissive. They chuckled at my tales, their faces etched with amused skepticism. "Just old ship noises," they said, "and tricks of the light," attributing the strange occurrences to nothing more than superstition. Their words echoed in my mind, a chilling reminder of the danger we were blissfully sailing into. As the voyage drew to a close, guests of the ship started to disappear, and the whispers turned into screams. The once tranquil atmosphere of the ship descended into chaos. The salty air that once brought comfort now carried a bone-chilling coldness that seeped into every corner of the cruise liner. People couldn't find their loved ones, so they walked around in a panic. It was as if the ship itself was alive, breathing, pulsating with an unseen terror. The whispers that had once been a mere background noise had transformed into the disembodied screams of the damned, echoing through the corridors. It was clear that we were no longer alone. We were trapped in a deadly game with a spectral adversary from beyond the grave. The spirit of Richard Lancaster, the notorious serial killer, was no longer just a ghostly presence. He was a tangible terror, a malevolent force that sought vengeance on those who dared to cross his path. His icy touch sent shivers down our spines, and his blood-curdling screams filled our ears, bouncing off the walls of the labyrinthine passageways. Emily and I were in the eye of a supernatural storm, the epicenter of a haunting that had gripped the entire ship. The once grand and opulent cruise liner had transformed into a floating tomb, a haunted vessel on a relentless voyage into the heart of darkness. We found ourselves in a deadly race against time, navigating the maze-like corridors of the ship, desperately trying to escape the clutches of the vengeful spirit. Each creak of the ship, each flicker of the lights, every shadow that danced in our peripheral vision was a reminder of the spectral terror that haunted us. Gone were the days of relaxation and enjoyment. Our vacation had turned into a fight for survival, a desperate struggle against an enemy that was not of this world. We were no longer passengers on a cruise ship. We were prey in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Fighting for our very lives as we navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the ship, we knew that we had to face our fears, confront our tormentor, and reclaim our freedom. The game was far from over, and the final showdown was yet to come. Just when all hope seemed lost, a glimmer of light appeared on the horizon. In the throes of despair, we discovered allies amongst the crew and people who could not find their loved ones. Brave souls who believed our tale of the vengeful spirit. Together, we hatched a plan to confront this spectral menace, to vanquish the ghost of Lancaster once and for all. Armed with ancient rituals that some of the guests knew and the sheer force of our determination, we prepared for the final showdown. It was a battle not of swords or guns, but of wills. A battle fought not on the open sea, but within the shadowy corridors of the ship, in the very heart of darkness. This was more than a struggle for survival. It was a battle for our souls, a test of our courage, our resolve, and our humanity. It was a battle against the darkness within us all, against our own fears and insecurities. And so, we stood against the ghost of Richard Lancaster in a showdown that would determine the fate of us all. In the end, it was not violence or hatred that prevailed, but love and forgiveness. As the first blush of dawn painted the skies, the evil presence that had haunted us seemed to wane. The ghostly whispers that had once filled the ship's corridors with dread were replaced by an eerie silence. The guests that were missing mysteriously showed back up and could not remember where they had been. It was in this moment of tranquility that we felt it, a profound sense of peace. The spirit of Richard Lancaster, the tormented soul that had roamed these decks in search of vengeance, had found his redemption. His ethereal chains, forged by his own deeds in life, had at last been broken. It was a poignant reminder that even the darkest of souls can find solace, can find release. And as the sun continued its ascent, marking the dawn of a new day, we realized we too had been redeemed. Emily and I emerged stronger than ever, grateful for the second chance we had been given. As we relaxed the cruise ship, a sense of relief washed over us. The air was fresh, the sky a brilliant blue. Our ordeal was over, or so we thought. We had faced the ghostly presence, the infamous serial killer from the ship's dark past, and had lived to tell the tale. We had emerged from the labyrinthine corridors of the ship, stronger and more united than ever before. The whispers that once echoed through the halls were no more. The icy chill that had once filled the air was replaced by the warmth of the sun. The shadows that danced in the corners of our vision had vanished. We were free from the grip of the ghostly presence that had haunted us. But just when we thought we were safe, almost back to land, a feeling of déjà vu bushed over me and Emily. The daylight turned to darkness, the land we were approaching disappeared, and me and Emily all of a sudden were alone on the ship. The wind blew an old-looking newspaper article to our feet. On the front page, it talked about a ship that once employed the serial killer. Richard Lancaster had sunk into the ocean after he and his cult had murdered all of the guests and crew. They had a list of the names of all deceased. It was all of the people we had come in contact with, and my name and Emily's was right there.